good morning, good afternoon. Sorry for the delay. A glass just exploded. I was collecting some stuff up just to go and get myself a cup of tea. And I stacked one glass inside another glass, which was absolutely fine. And I put it down as I reached over to grab something else. And it just went bang. And the bottom glass just destroyed itself and went everywhere out the blue. I have never seen one do that before. Anyways, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you are well. It is Sunday night. It is time for another live stream. I hope you can't hear the printer behind me, but it is quite loud, and it does make quite a lot of sort of a higher pitch noises. Do let me know if you can hear it every now and again. Hopefully it's not. I've also got the aircon running in here because it is bloody hot today. It really is. Yeah, it just went bang. But what's really weird about it is it almost shattered like safety glass. I've never seen. It's a test print. Nothing phenomenal. It is just a large test print. It's not even a really large one, but it is just a test print on the Snapmaker. It is certainly not the fastest printer in the world. It is certainly not the quietest printer in the world, but it does have other features, basically. But I'm just prepping some stuff for the review of the printer element. No, I need to do the printer bit before I move on to the CNC. I have my carbon fiber. My carbon fibers have arrived. I am struggling a little bit with this. Not the product, I'll be honest with you. The sheer size of it is the issue. That is the first thing that I'm struggling with. I literally don't have enough space for a device of this size in this workshop. It is so far... It's not the worst 3D printer in the world, and it's not the best, but you really do need a workshop for something this large. It really is very, very big. So that is sort of hampering me a little bit. So tonight, what are we going to talk about? Well, we are going to talk about this mess that you see here, because yes, we've had some compatibility changes from DJI. We are going to talk about a little bit about the DJI Neo because there's an FCC report. Could this be something new FPV related? We don't really know. We're going to have to wait and see, but there is an FCC out for a product called the Neo. We are going to talk about the fact I fixed my Caddx goggles, and there will be a video on that coming in the next week or so. We'll talk a bit about this BLHeli32 mess. And I can't remember what else I put in the show notes. I really should start writing it down. Oh, yes, coloured radios. And we will talk about a number of other things as we move through as well. So I hope everyone is safe and well. Let me just get myself set up to where I thought I was. I wasn't quite ready because of the glass explosives. But yes, so this week, it's been an interesting week. It's a good week. And it is a good week because DJI added support for O3 on these finally. Now let's go wide. Yes, the Goggles 3 finally have support for O3. Quite a bit of a random and surprising update, actually. We've known that DJI are working on it for ages, but we just didn't know when they were going to drop it, and they randomly dropped it this week. It just adds O3 support for the Goggles 3. That really is all there is to say. Now, with regards to compatibility on it, everything mirrors what happened with the Avata 2. So, we have, if you're using it with O3 and Goggles 3, you've got to use the FPV Remote 3 if you want to use DJI Remote Controller. When I say you've got to, what you can't do is use the FPV Remote version 2 with the Goggles 3. If you're using it with Goggles 2, you have to use the FPV Remote version 2. But don't use the DJI Remote. It's useless. It's horrible. Just don't do it. Go and buy yourself something colourful, like we'll take a look at a little bit more later on. So really, there's not a lot more to be said other than DJI have added O3 support. I have done some basic testing with the flight, no issues. All the harm fire hacks, as I said in the video, it all still works. Everything is fine, no problem at all. About the only thing I forgot to cover in that video, and I do have a monster of a video coming, and I've been adding to it tonight. I have the ultimate compatibility guide video coming to DJI. It will be here probably this week. It's going to be a 45 minute video, but it is going to cover everything with regards to compatibility. And as I do cover in that, the real downside is ride-along spectator mode. You can't spectate between goggles 3 and goggles 2, period, on the Avata 2 on O3. That is really dull. You know, the goggles 2 support the O3 ear unit, as does the Integras, as does the V2s. You can spectate from the goggles 2 on O3 to another set of goggles 2, a goggles Integra, or the V2s. You can't, though, spectate on the goggles 3 to the V2s, the Integras, or the V2s with O3, or from the goggles 2 to the goggles 3 with the V2s and the O3. It's just ridiculous. But we do cover it. And as a result of this, and I'm going to show you guys this now, I have created, and this actually isn't finished, on my wiki, a monster of a DJI compatibility chart. Now, when you go to the FPV wiki, under DJI, the top option is DJI FPV compatibility chart. And it is this thing here. And whilst this looks small, it is a very large image. It will come in a second. I've got a good internet connection as well. It shouldn't take time. But if we go on to this chart, and I will make a PDF version of this available as well. Let me just open it up full screen. And at the same time, I'm going to grab my cup of tea. Oh, that is hot. Whilst the writing looks small, it's because there's a lot in there. But when you click on it, so if we go up to here, let's just wait for it to kick in. So we've clicked on, it's better actually looking at the PDF, if I'm honest. But the DJI Avata, they're not compatible. Let me open up the PDF. I've got to work on the website a little bit. I'm not 100% happy with the website. Here's the JPEG, right, which is a full res JPEG. Where's my zoom up? There we go. So if we start zooming in and looking around, you can start to see things like DJI Avata. So the V1s are not compatible. The V2s are compatible. It tells you the remote controls. It tells you the spectator goggles compatibility as well. If we then move across, and if we start looking at things like the DJI ear units and O3, so we've got the ear unit here, it tells you the compatibility on the V1s and the spectator and the firmware requirements. You go onto the V2 goggles. So on this side, you've got goggles. On the top, you've got drone or ear unit. It tells you there all of that info. Goggles 3 not compatible. You then got some notes at the bottom, as well as the full FCC hack information as well. This has been a lot of work to put together. So basically you go, right, I have a RunCam link, and I've separated off the RunCam link with the Vista just so it doesn't confuse people. And we go goggles Integra. So if we go RunCam link and goggles Integra, the Integra are compatible with the RunCam link, specific firmware only, see note below. The remote controller, you can use the FPV remote version 2. Spectator goggle, you can use the goggles 2 or the goggles Integra. Important compatibility note, RunCam link must be on firmware version 01.01.0000 or later. To check what firmware, please connect to Assistant 2 for FPV, and it gives you all of the info. There's also some info down here on making sure you have the correct version of Assistant. So for instance, you can update the firmware on the A-Unit, Vista and Link with Assistant 2 for consumer drones, but something you may not know, you cannot activate those A-Units via Assistant 2 for consumer drones. You have to use Assistant 2 for FPV, and I do specifically mention that there as well. I also talk about the 2 different hacks, because remember, if you're using the A-Unit, the Vista or the RunCam Link on the V1 and V2 goggles, you have NACO and NACO power, whereas if you're using them on the goggles 2 or Integra, you have to use the ham file. So again, I talk about that here as well. And again, talk about exactly how to do it. It is a mammoth task to put a chart like this together. The only thing I haven't added on it is Love Toy support, and Love Toy support will be coming on here before it's finally finished. But yeah, so if we look on 03, what about V1 remote compatibility? It is here. So the V1 remote controller is only compatible. You will see it over here with the V1 goggles. There you go. So if you look, if you want to know the V1, so you go on the depending, you choose your goggle type. So basically, when you look at this chart, if it doesn't say it, it's not compatible. So when you go to the DJI unit on the goggles V1 at the top, remote controller compatibility, FPV remote version 1. If we then go down to the V2 goggles, FPV remote version 1. If we go down to the goggles 2, FPV remote version 2. Version 1 remote is not compatible. Remotes are not listed separately. It tells you the remote you can use with your goggles and device combination. The easiest way to always remember about remotes is they follow the goggles. The remote is tied to the goggle type, apart from on the V2s. But it's all there. It's all explained. So it's by goggle. All by goggle, because that is the best place to start. And this is where it gets messy, because when you look here, you got V2 goggles on this line, right? And goggles 2 on this line. So this is where it gets interesting. When you have the A unit, so the DJI A unit is this one here. So if we look at the middle one, if we put it there, actually, you got A unit, Vista, RunCam Link. So when you're using them on the goggles V2, you can use the black remote V1, and you can spectate between the V1s and the V2s. Yet when you use the same E unit on the goggles 2, you have to use the version 2 remote, and you can only spectate on goggles 2 and Integra, because you're stepping up in that different firmware version. I think it makes it as simple as it possibly can be. And the great one, and this was the big one we were talking about, yes, on 03, the DJI Goggles 3 are fully compatible with the 03 Air unit from goggle firmware 010300 to 010300. Nice and straightforward. However, FPV version 3 remote only, goggles 3 only for spectator. And yeah, it really is as simple as that. Now, this is on the wiki, but it doesn't... I need to tweak how well it's shown. But yeah, that is a mammoth. It's been a mammoth task getting that right. I'll be honest with you. It has been a mammoth task getting it right. But the good news is we have 03 support on the Goggles 3. And that is the real good thing. The video will be coming out probably midweek. I've got a little bit of tweaking to do on it. It's huge. The video. I have shared an early look at it with my Patreons and some of the people on my Discord. But that isn't even the final version, because I've had to go back. Here's the truth. I missed in the video talking about the Love Toys. Thank you for the person who reminded me. I completely forgot about the Love Toy support, and that's why it's also not on that chart as well. But now I've also added in a bunch more stuff as well. So, yeah. Now, obviously, the big thing with the Goggles 3 is there is no support on these for the Ear Unit or Vista. There is technically no reason why DJI cannot add that support, but here and now it's not there. Genuinely, I wouldn't expect it. to come to these, if I'm honest. I wouldn't expect it. You never know, but let's wait and see. There's going to be more support for more products around the corner, which we'll talk about in a minute. But really, we've just got to see what DJI have done. It's nice that they've done it. It's good for people that they've done it. Came a bit earlier than I anticipated. They probably have a similar chart up on their wall in the dev marketing departments. I would bet they don't even have that much info. Honestly, I bet you they don't have that much info. I'm telling you now, DJI support won't. I am telling you now. They won't have that. DJI go through that many staff at times, people that come and go. The people who did after this, they won't remember. The crazy thing is there's people in the community that will know more than DJI. I'm probably one of them. I'm not going to be big and headed enough to say that I am, but I probably am one of them, as are a few of you and a few of us. We all know a lot more. If DJI are still supplying towards Caddx and Runcam, it may be. Yeah, and it is interesting that the Vista and the Runcam link lasted far longer than I expected. And here's the truth. But we have a bit of context on this now. So, if you remember, there was JB put a thing out that the air unit in Vista is about to become obsolete. And that info came from me. Remember, JB shared it was me, I said it was me, and then there was a load of kickback because Caddx suddenly went, no, we're not ending it. But what that was about was Caddx was working on Avatar in the background, and they wanted to clear down their stock of the Vistas. So they told all of the dealers that supply was running out and they should buy now before it does. The driver for that actually wasn't that DJI had pulled the plug. The driver was that Caddx wanted to get rid of its stock. Now, I assume Caddx thought that DJI would probably stop supplying them once they made their own system. That, though, hasn't been the case, and Caddx have continued to sell the the Air Unit Lite or Vista stroke Runcam Link, and Runcam have continued to sell it. You can still get the cameras, the Nebula Pros and others, and it has been a steady stream sale product, if I'm honest, and there's no sign of it ending yet. You still call them Vistas, yeah, and you know, I haven't looked on Caddx's website for a while, but I bet you Caddx still sell a chunk of these. So, specialized, so stock, yeah, collaborations, Vista kit, here you go. So, can you get the Polar? Yeah, you can still add the Polar. The Polar's available. Yeah, the odd OG cam. Nebula Pro Vista, you can still order the Nebula Pro Vista. See, that is great. It's a great camera. The Neb Pro was always a great camera. I should stock up on a few of these. Although, at 165, you're probably better going 03. I think the real issue is it's really hard for DJI to make the Vista smaller. I'm not saying they can't. But one of the reasons I suspect we've not seen a smaller air unit is the basics are it's not going to be very easy for DJI to do. I think they would find it very hard to do a one-board air unit. I'm not saying they couldn't, but they would have to give up on reliability like Caddx have, like HD0 have, for the sake of getting it onto one board. And I'm just not sure DJI will want to do that. The reason the Vista is a two-board unit, it has far more power delivery on board, but DJI could improve that. The problem they've got is they can't sell it themselves because it's not FCC certified. The big problem with the Vista has always been it doesn't pass FCC. What I am shocked they haven't done is sold it in an O3 style case and say if you want to, and then make it fairly easy to take apart like O3 is. How big would you say the DJI FPV team is in terms of employees? DJI doesn't really... Look, as far as I understand... Look, I've had a lot of dealings with DJI over the years. I used to alpha test and beta test for them. I have a very good understanding of how DJI's previous layouts of products was. So, DJI wouldn't have had a dedicated FPV team. The way DJI work with a new product is... So, marketing will then decide where they go next. So, you know, what are we doing? And go, right, we want to make an FPV-related product. They will then pick a bunch of people who are either free or a group of teams to work on that. And within DJI, those teams will compete for the basically making the product. So within that initial design, there'll be competition, and then it will then get sort of boiled down to the final design, and then DJI will then bring in, it sends the board's design team the requirements, it sends the plastics team the requirements, and then you have a very small number of people involved with the project itself directly. So every project will have a project manager, a PM. So every time I dealt with DJI on a new release, there was a project manager, a PM, and then he may have an assistant. But really, from there, the board team does all the boards. You know, the routing team does that. The hardware team does that. The radio team does that. And then it all comes back together, and they have the marketing involved, and they go forward from there. So that's the way DJI did it. And just to give you some insight, the DJI FPV drones product manager was the product manager of RoboMaster. So he had helped design the RoboMaster robot when he started at DJI, and then he'd been given the right to then do the next project. He wasn't FPV specific. Once he'd done that, he'd moved on to something else. The only caveat I will have to this, okay, and the only change I have to this is with regards to DJI's Ronin line, you basically have one person in charge, and that is Paul Pan. So Paul is someone I know. I class him as a friend. Like, I don't know how much I've upset him or DJI in recent years. Paul was a very good guy. I used to help run the Ronin group with him. I actually helped set up the Ronin group. You know, for those who don't know, I created the official DJI FPV group. I'm the person that actually brought that to life. But I helped Paul run the Ronin group, and Paul is basically Ronin. RS2 from the beginning, the Ronin 2, the 4D, DJI Transmission, all of that is Paul's world. Paul stays within that world. He had some involvement with the Inspire 1, the Phantom 3. Paul was heavily involved with the Phantom 3. He was one of the main people who helped design it as well. He's a really good guy. Paul is an astonishingly good guy. He really is. With so much history with DJI, when did they stop liking you? Look, you got to understand with DJI, they're a complicated company. Look, I had relationships with people in America and people in China with DJI, but people move on, people move through, and at the end of the day, I never worked for them. I was just someone who used to test stuff. They also grew out of a lot of the way they operated. You know, them just going, oh, look, we've designed this, we're sending you one next week. Those days are gone. You know, then they sort of had... The breaking point for me was very simple, was the FPV drone, when I was not willing to accept the terms and conditions. But that wasn't with Paul, that was with some others. That was with the marketing team. Exumin and a few others who I felt the requirements on that for me were not right. I had always come involved and sort of tested, not as a KOL. They presented me with a KOL agreement and said, we want you to promote this heavily on places like dirt bike forums, 4x4 groups, outdoor sports type groups, and for every... And we want to set you engagement targets, and if you meet the engagement targets, we'll give you $1,000. And that was not what I was all about. I have that NDA in my email box to prove it. That exists. It's in writing. That is what they wanted to do. And that is what DJI do with a lot of these bigger KOLs. Don't be under any illusion that these guys who are traveling around with the latest drone and following a dirt bike, who do you think's paying for that? Who do you think's doing that? DJI want positive engagement, and the term they used was positive engagement. And for me, that was just not acceptable. That was not how I operated. It's never been how I've operated. I'll tell the truth about the product, as I always have. And the irony was, you never really had to slag DJI off too badly around a new product. There was stuff that wasn't right, but really, they do a really good job overall. You know, I do like to poke them a little bit on the channel now, just for fun. But overall, they deliver a fantastic product. But yeah, so that's it. So I just said, nah, I'm not doing that. And I sent the guys in America an email. What I will say is this. A lot of the amazing people I used to sort of help, they have gone. And that was really the end of it for me. They brought in people to manage the Facebook groups, you know, and for me, that was like, nah, sorry, I'm not doing that. So, it was it. But, yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. Can I disable live reaction in the chat? I don't know how I do that now I'm on stream. I'm guessing it's that. There we go. Anyways, that is that. We do have support for the Goggles 3, which is fantastic. It's a bit boring. That's really all there is to say on it right now. Now, what is a little bit exciting is this, because there is something new coming. There's actually more than one thing coming, but it looks like the thing that I've hinted about in the past is coming, and it looks like there's something else FPV related, and it might be the DJI Neo. Now, this is a 2S drone. We can extrapolate a lot, actually, from the FCC reports. I've gone through the FCC exposure reports already. It is 04 based, but it is very cut back. So it only supports 5 gigs. It only has 2 antennas. This looks like a cut back FPV product. I suspect this is going to be a very cheap FPV product, potentially to be released with another set of cheap goggles. If you want a bet, I think DJI is trying to get into the mini line of FPV, is what I would say. Is probably what I would expect. Something smaller, something lighter, something much cheaper is what I would be looking at. What DJI's probably now looking to do is build out their stack on FPV. So you've got the main Avata, probably a Avata mini style drone. It's got Wi-Fi. I will put bets it's got Wi-Fi control functionality as well as remote. From the way it reads, I think it's going to read as it's probably going to have Wi-Fi control as well. Pricing will be interesting. I do wonder if they can get something. I don't think it's a Whoop. I think it's bigger than that. But I think they're looking at something a bit smaller. Maybe the old Spark size style, if people remember that. So I certainly wouldn't class this as like a racer or anything like that. This is budget. All of the indications is this is cheap. Still 04 based though, but it is way cut back. You can see only 2 antennas. Supports up to the 60 megahertz mode though. No 2.4 gigs, only 5 gigs. So yeah, going to be interesting. No, I think, look, I think you're going to see a small, I've said this before, a Vata Mini style thing. Probably. Something like that. This will be about entry-level FPV. Could even be a box goggle. Who knows? We just don't know. I think it'll probably be sub 250, yeah. But I don't think it'll have the same camera. I think, again, I'll be honest, they almost shrink that down into something much smaller, the Avata one. Yeah, it seems sort of... It's interesting you say the Tello, Travis. I had that in my head. You know, I think this is going to be sort of between... It's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't get majorly excited about it, put it that way. One other thing, I have a question for you amazing people who are here in the stream, right? So, how interested are you guys in DJI Transmission? Now, I have made a... drone tweaks is no longer needed. No, it's not. You can just use the ham file. Phil Shooter, you no longer need drone tweaks. That stopped after the last Avata 2 update. There is no need for drone tweaks at all now. How interested would people be seeing... yeah, probably. I'm tempted to order a set to do a little bit of content if people are interested. For 2 perspectives. First of all, a teardown on this to get it into drone use. We have a user who's done this already. He's got it down to 53 grams. It's basically an O3E unit with HDMI in. Is basically what it is. But I mean, I wrote up a massive post on this on the DJI Transmission page on Facebook, actually, explaining it, because I've seen so much confusion around this. Honestly, people just don't understand what this is. So I am tempted to order one in, do full teardowns. It's something a little bit different. But yeah, I'm intrigued what people think. Can simpletons like you have a brief overview of what it is? Basically, it is O3 with HDMI in and HDMI out is what it is. So you can plug in supported resolution cameras. It transmits it over O3 protocol to the other side and it comes out. The nice thing about this is it has built-in Wi-Fi functionality, so it can also wirelessly stream to smartphones and tablets like the Goggles 3. It can also have SDI in and HDMI. It also has lots of other like technical stuff, mic communications back and forth, but it's O3 for HDMI transmission. It's actually very cheap for what it is. Now, the original version of DJI Transmission was £2,000, but this one is now down to 520 or something like that. It's basically like 260 an air unit, which is quite good. It's not shocking. It's not shocking. I can tell you now, there will be a lot of cine people very interested in this, especially having mounting this onto larger aircraft where you can, you know, you can have O3 for your FPV link, but then you can fire out a HDMI feed from something bigger that you're flying. It is limited to 20 megabits a second on this one. But if you're interested in understanding the differences, I do have a video on it. It's worth checking out. But I did put a very big post up on Facebook, actually. If I go to... if I go to Facebook and DJI Transmission, because there was so... Yeah... This is when you use the Blackmagic Micro G2 as your FPV cam. Exactly, Bad for Life. You've got it. There's a man who knows. If you know, you know. That's my 3D printer. Sorry, Scopad. I did mention there's a print in progress and it's freaking loud. I'm sorry, I can't change it or I can't stop it. Let me just find this. Is this the official group? I can't find the official group. I'm going to have to find I'm going to have to find the notifications and go back. Where is it here? There you go. Found it. Okay. So, and this is a very big post, okay? For people who haven't... Oh, I've lost the recording of the stream. Okay, oh well. This is a complete... Oh, look, that gives you an idea how big the post is. Yeah, it's very large. It's a discussion on what it is, comparison to other products. But yeah, worth a read if you're interested. But I am tempted to do some content on it. So I was just asking what you guys think. Because I tell you now, there are going to be people very interested in strapping this onto bigger FPV quads with cine cameras and having a live feed. Any update on the CNC? That is starting this week. So, that's the DJI Transmission. Right. I am going to say, I'll do this. Let me just do something, but I'm going to put a caveat on it. Let me just find it. But I don't know if I can even find this. Okay, I can't even find the link to it. Okay, so apparently... The brand known as Fat Shark, which is a brand that I do not recommend people purchase from on this channel due to their association with unusual machines who are weaponizing FPV in a very public manner. They are a brand that I have said I will boycott on this channel, and I continue to do that. That stance hasn't changed. However, they have released an updated version of the Fat Shark HDO goggles, HDO 2s, somethings. They now have 1080p screens. Basically, the reality is they've probably been forced to move over to 1080p screens simply because everyone else is using 1080p screens, and continuing to make goggles with 720p screens was probably more expensive. It's worth remembering that most of these goggles all use the same displays. In fact, that is the same display as I have in my my Walk Snail goggles that I repaired this week. I have actually already repaired them. I had an OLED failure. They are here. The video will be coming, but to give you an indication of the screen size on this, they're all using 1080p OLEDs, basically. Now, and as a result of that, Jesus, that noise, I think I'm starting to twitch. Yeah, I can't change it, I'm afraid. They all use these OLEDs just to give you, now this is the old one, so I can handle this without a problem. Yeah, I've swapped it. An absolute freaking nightmare. I do wish Caddx had actually sent me an optical module rather than just the display, as I explained in the video. But that is the OLED display. That is a 1080p OLED display. And chances are the reason Fat Shark have moved over to it is because HD Zero are using them, DJI are using them. Pretty much everyone is using these same displays from Sia. The grid on the table is, let me give you a measure, 2 seconds. If you want to measure, we'll use the MadTech ruler. Let's focus. So just to give you an idea of size, this is centimeters. If you want me for the American market to put it in, there you go. So that gives you an indication there of the actual display sizing. For our American friends, 1/2 inch, basically. So yeah, that is the size of the OLED displays in pretty much all of these goggles. These are not cheap. Not cheap at all. But yeah, they're all made by Sia, basically. But yeah, so the brand, which is Fat Shark, has released an updated goggle. I don't recommend you buy anything from those brands. I can't comment if it's a good goggle. I guess it will be okay. I don't believe they've done anything to address the HDMI issues that people continue to have with those goggles from the HDO2s, the HDO1s. They continue to have problems with the HDMI input failing. I don't even know where the listing is for these new goggles. Someone mentioned it come out. To be fair to FPV, I'll mention it's happened. But again, my boycott of the brand remains in place. If you're interested in the brand, go check it out. I don't even know where you can buy them. There you go. I think analog goggles at the price we're seeing them, especially still without a receiver, is a freaking joke today. And that stands for the likes of the O4X and things like that. Just catching on the questions. If you're anyone else just finding out that's how small our FPV display is, I wish I could share. Right, that is big. Right, I've got images somewhere from my teardown of my Dominator HD, my Fat Shark Dominator Vision 2s, and the display, I crap you not, right? The display was probably a quarter of the size of that. Honestly, the LCD displays the Fat Shark were using in those other goggles, that is massive, right? That is huge in comparison. Did I ever publish that as a video? I can't remember if I did. Honestly, they are crazy small. Just looking. I definitely tore them down, but I don't know if it was a video or what it was, but the displays were insanely small. Dominator Vision 3 it was. Yeah, the DOMS V3. That's what I had. The display was tiny. I'm just trying to see if I can see it. I remember being just astonished how small. But that's why you had quite bad screen door effect on those goggles, because the optics were amplifying so much, it was insane. I'm just trying to see if I can see a picture of those displays. I don't think I can. No, they were, honestly, quarter of that. I promise you, quarter of that. So, yeah, crazy, crazy, crazy. Any rumours on the 04 Air unit? Not in the next 2 to 3 months would be my opinion. That's all I can say at this time. We will be lucky if it's this year. If I was to buy goggles and wanted DJI unit, would you choose the Goggles 3, hoping prolong compatibility, or use older version? Today, if I wanted goggles for DJI, buy the Integras. The Integras are the best option. They're cheaper. They have the most compatibility like the Goggles 2. They have the best chance of getting 04 compatibility alongside the Goggles 2 as well. The reason... October's way too soon. Way too soon, based on what I know. The reason I say Integras is, at least if DJI don't bring support for 04, you haven't spent out as much money as you would on Goggles 2. If you can get a cheaper set of Goggles 2, though, go for it. Goggles 2 or Integra, by far the best option. If you want my bets will be, we may see 04 this year. May see it this year. October's way too soon from what I know right now. Chances are DJI will add support for the 04 on the Goggles 3 first, and then make Goggles 2 users and Integra users wait 3 to 6 months. So what I will also say is this. If you really want 04 on day one, you're going to have to go with Goggles 3. They will pull this same stunt, in my opinion. But if you're happy to wait on 04, I see no reason why Goggles 2 and the 04 is going to be a big upgrade over 03 because of the Osmo Action 4 sensor. Sorry, Kane, but let me be clear. Do not assume that it is going to have the same sensor as the Avata 2. The camera is nothing to do with 04. 04 is the RF chipset. DJI could release it with the same camera. The camera is arbitrary for DJI. They can choose whatever camera they want. There was a overlap with the Avata and 03. That is the first time we've ever seen that overlap. Don't necessarily think that that will come to 04 Air unit standalone. The choice of camera is arbitrary for DJI. It's not related to the Air unit. The camera spec could be a different sensor. The bigger sensor isn't actually that important. It's the choice of sensor. Remember, the sensor, it's not the size of the... There are DJI camera drones with smaller sensors than the FPV that look way better. The sensor size is not the major factor here. It is the quality, the type of sensor, the choice of sensor, and the lens. The lens is key. The lens is really key. DJI could use a smaller sensor that will look better than 03 does today. It's easily doable. It's all cost, it's all choice, it's all options. You can't assume anything. You can take a Mavic Mini that will look better than 03. And why is that? It's got a smaller camera. Because it's a better sensor. DJI somewhat chose compromise on 03 and the Avata. And yes, they have the same module. But the processor of the image is a massive factor. Yes, but it's the same image processor on the Avata 2 as it is in the 03. Same image processor. All that changed on the Avata 2 was the sensor and the RF chipset. DJI is still using the E3T on the Avata 2. And they will in 04 as well. It will have the E3T. I can guarantee it now. It depends the size. The issue will be, can DJI package it small enough? We still haven't seen how small that lens package is. We need to understand how small it could be. That's the key. Look, it may have it, but what you can't do is assume. Low light performance, lens and sensor. Remember, the lens is more important than the sensor. The lens is what lets the light in. The aperture of the lens, the number of elements, any plastic in the lens, all has a major factor. The lens itself, there's a reason why you spend big money on lenses on the same cameras. The lens is a major factor in its performance. Really, lens is key. Glass is always key. Caddx Starlight camera for analog VTX is awesome. Right, before we move on, there was another question. Let me just get that one. Does the O3 unit get limited RF power when you're in CE region on the goggles 2 and V2, or is it only on goggles 3? All of them. DJI are legally required to limit the output based on your region, and that is all the same on all the goggles. The good thing with O3 is it's the same hack file on all the goggles, so just use the ham file and it will release it. Yeah, low light on O3 is a bit of a mess. It is a bit of a mess. But it is a tiny lens. Look at the lens size on O3. When you look at the lens on this camera, right? The actual lens section on the overhead, right? So if I zoom in. Look how tiny the lens is in the middle. That's the lens. That's the bit that's going down to the sensor. It's minuscule. Let me just grab a camera. You know, this is the O3 camera, okay? This is one I cracked. It's also very fragile, the lens on this camera. So look, it's got a fair size aperture in the middle, but when you actually look at the hole, so that's the sensor, that's the sensor, that sensor is fine. There is nothing wrong with the size of this sensor on O3. That sensor that sensor size is fine. There's no issues. You can just replace the lens off one of the flywheel ones. But the sensor size is fine. Your smartphone, right, does not have a sensor that big. I can tell you now. The sensors in most smartphones are a lot smaller than that. The issue is the aperture on the lens. And if you just look at the hole, and it's quite hard. Let me find something white. They're not non-glued, but they're ungluable. I'll tell you one way to do it might be. 1 second. Will my phone shine the light? Shine the light. Where am I find my phone? Where did my phone vanish to? Where is it? It's here. So, sorry for the bright light a minute, but if we pop that over it, let me turn it right down. I don't know if this will work because I've not. No, it's not easy to see, but the hole is really small. There. You can see it there. That hole there is how small the image has to come through. You know, it is not the size of the glass on the front of it. It is tiny. And that sensor then is working overdrive to get that light through. You could try, yeah, DJI have a proprietary lens fitting, unfortunately. That's the problem. This sensor is huge. That sensor, look at the size. That sensor is massive. It's not, you know, you're not talking mirrorless camera big, but it's big enough. You know. Just to before we move on, I'll just show you something. Just as a comparison. So, just to compare it to a full frame sensor, okay? You ready? So, we're going to compare it to a full frame so people understand. Full frame is basically 35mm. So just to give you an idea, that is the sensor size on O3 compared to a full frame camera. That just gives you an idea of the kind of size. No! I saw the person's comment. No. No, no, no. Stop being naughty. If you then compare it to something like APS-C, just to give people an idea, this is APS-C, so that's your typical APS-C camera there. But again, much, much smaller in comparison. So, yeah. Always interesting to look at sizes. I haven't got anything 1 inch I could show you. Well, I have, but it would get this demonetized. So, yes. Low light's not too bad. You know, I think you could do a lot on this with a better lens. Genuinely, I think we could do a lot on this with a better lens. No, we're going to move on to BLHeli next. So, next, good choice. Time to move on. It's time to talk about the BLHeli mess. Now, I put a video out the other day talking about the situation, and this started with Secure, who sent me this ESC to review, and those on my Discord will know this has been rolling on in the background for a little bit of time, and I was like, what the bloody hell is going on here? And then we figured it out. But I've then started to get messages from people, and we're starting to see more and more people post that they're getting these issues, and these issues are that ESCs are being shipped with test firmware. Now, what is really frustrating in this is there's a number of brands. One of them is Secure. Right, so, and this is actually really frustrating, right? When I go to their website, and I was told they pulled these. So, Secure's website, and I'll be honest, the hardware looks Secure, whatever we're going to call them. Their hardware looks really nice. When you click on this, right, you can get the BLHeli32 or the AM32. Right, as of now, the AM32 isn't available. They'll sell you the BLHeli32 one, though, which still has the dodgy software on board. So they're still selling it. And I was told they were going to withdraw that. That is ridiculous. That is just crazy. Now, I have heard of a user of a Darwin FPV unit. The one that was on Darwin FPV was their stack. It was their, if we go on to this, it was their Cement Ultra stack that came with this installed as well. And it was a Foxeer one too, which is their Reaper 55A ESC stack. Came with it as well, I believe. Yeah, they're still advertising it as BLHeli32. As for I don't think I can return after soldering, I think if it's got dodgy firmware on it, you're well within your right. This is unacceptable. There is no world where this is acceptable. It is ridiculous. What I do find interesting is that this is happening across 3 different brands who we would all somewhat assume are non-connected. So clearly, either someone has approached these brands and said, hey, I can help you hack the firmware and put a version out. And there have been people peddling, unpacked versions of BLHeli32, and I suspect that's the case. The real issue here is we do not know what this version 31.10 is. We could assume 31.10 is 32.10, but we don't know. And for me, this is really simple. If there was a hack or a release of BLHeli32 files into the community that each person could make a decision on if they wanted to use or not, I would be okay with that. I'm not saying people should use hacked software, but we all know the rules. You take your chances. You make the decision what's right and wrong. What I fundamentally disagree with here is manufacturers selling ESCs with dodgy, unlicensed, illegitimate firmware back on. That is the fundamental difference here. They are doing this to make money. If we had all of the hacked files, then that's a different scenario. But BLHeli never released 32.10 as a download. You can't get it. I do have the test 32.95 hex files, but I don't have an ESC I can even try flashing that onto because not every ESC was shipped in 32.9 world. ESCs changed, so 32.10 was the first firmware version many ESCs got. So there aren't hex files out there available for them. Now, for me, as I said, if we end up in a situation where someone dumps all of the 32.10 files and gives them to the community, I'm a happy man. I have no issues. Crack on. Knock yourself out. How many people have used a hacked copy of Windows, Office? You know, I'm with you there. We've all been there. I'm an 80s kid. Come on, guys. I was modding games consoles before probably most people even knew what FPV was. You know, I've installed... We've all been doing the stuff. We know what it's like. But a brand, a manufacturer selling it for money is bullshit. And that's my problem. And these companies are selling you this ESC saying it's got BLHeli32. And that isn't the way forward. It wouldn't even be so bad if they were saying... It's coming with unlicensed software, but they're not. They're peddling it as good, ready to go ESCs. So here and now, the situation is this: be very careful buying an a BLHeli32 ESC. I would be getting it from somewhere you can return it. I tell you where I wouldn't be ordering from is directly from them, because I don't see how they would have supply. I just don't understand how they would have supply. They will not be sitting on lots of supply. If they've got AM32, that's different, but this is very murky and I don't like it. And I am shocked, actually, that a brand like Foxeer have done this. I am shocked that Foxeer have. The Sequoia, Secure, those guys are new. But something is going on for more than one to be doing it. And we're going to have to wait and see how prevalent this is. Yeah, Ben, it is. The hardware is really nice. And the flight controller is really nice. Here's what really worries me about the secure one. They actually said to me, if you don't like the firmware, just flash it with AM32. And I was like, really? You just flash it, do you? And no, this firmware doesn't have an unlocked bootloader. It is still locked. So, yeah. Happy days. Very murky, naughty indeed. Ask the ELRS devs about Foxeer. Well, yes, there is that, I should say. I just hope we don't see some of the more well-known brands fall into this. How about the new 8S stuff on T-Motor? I have no idea. I would be very cautious of any brand on their website selling ESCs with BLHeli32. No one now should be selling ESCs with BLHeli32. It shouldn't be possible. No one should be doing it. Oh, wait there. T-Motor's bloody websites are always awkward to get to. Let me know on your Foxeer. Where's the T-Motor FPV area? I always struggle to find it. Where's the FPV stuff? This is all the big stuff, isn't it? Yeah. Why can I not find T-Motor FPV? Here we go. ESCs. So, what have they got? Let's have a look. In stock. So you can buy this. I can see maybe they've got some stock of this left because it's a high-end ESC. BLHeli32. That might, you know, is it going to be legitimate? I don't know. I honestly don't know. What's their cheapest one running? I might order one of these. Are all BLHeli32 ESCs the same? No, they need unique hex files. They have a ridiculous amount of websites. Yeah, they do, for sure. No, each ESC has to have its own individual hex file. Some of them might be the same in the background, but... Has it said what it's running? I'm guessing that's BLHeli32. Yeah, there you go. I don't understand why we're still seeing ESCs being labeled like this. Interesting times. Why are they using the... Because you can't get the firmware off one, because it's licensed to this specific MCU. So the way BLHeli32's licensing works, basically, is the license is applied to the serial number of... There's some coding to the serial number of the MCU. You can't just flash another ESC with the BLHeli firmware because it'll be unlicensed. It won't work. And this is why you had the online section for updating BLHeli32. There is a part of BLHeli32. There's two sections. You've got the main bootloader section, and then you've got the you know, OS on top. So when you update, you only update the OS. Yep. So there's no, unless someone releases a hack. But again, 32.10 is not in the public domain. It never was. Jim, I've not seen anything from Speedy B. Let us know. Look, I'm still expecting in the supply chain you could see BLHeli32. What we should start to see, though, is this all fade away. Because they stopped like that. They gave no one warning. So no one knew this was coming. It just went bang overnight. So people didn't even have a chance to bang out an extra 10,000 ESCs. The configurator is available, yes. But the problem is, whatever was manufactured at that point is whatever was manufactured. So we should be seeing stocks dwindle now. So we should naturally see a move over to AM32. If in 6 months, you know, we don't know how much stock was out there. That's the problem. Retailers wouldn't... There are people who've apparently tried to look at it. It's fairly obfuscated. It's fairly... You know, we've seen no hacks officially as of yet. Put it that way. No, apparently there's been one guy trying to sell a complete BLHeli32 source code, but it wasn't. It really wasn't. Apparently someone else has had a dig into it. I would not be shocked if we do see something turn up. Does it depend on the licenses purchased at the time? No, because when they stopped, the licenses that were already purchased, they lost. Because the licenses, the way it worked was, so you bought a bit like credit. So you'd like pay for... The licenses I hear were around 80, depends on the bulk purchase. The more you bought, the cheaper they were. I believe you're talking somewhere between 70 cents and $1.50 per license. And then what you would do is say upload $1,000, and then as you licensed each ESC, it was discounted off your credit total. But you had to pay in advance. So, people were given less than 24 hours notice that it was being shut down. So, whatever they had, whatever they didn't license, they lost. That just went. Yes, BLHeli would have had a database of every MCU ID. Yes, correct. It's BS that they were happy to take their money for years and then screw without warning. I don't think you can look at it like that. What you have to understand is, as we understand it, they had no choice. They were given no choice. They were told they were ending their business overnight. They were not to contact anyone. They were not to allow any further updates. They were to take all of their servers offline and do not pass go. Go straight to jail if you do not comply. As for taking our money, well, being honest, you, me, or anyone else never bought a single thing from them. It was manufacturers who licensed the software. You never actually licensed the software. It was their software. You've never even seen the terms and conditions of their license. Neither have I, because that was an agreement between the manufacturer and us. That agreement ended, and there is nothing we can do about it. Who told them to shut down? The term I'll use is the men in black. And look, this is very similar. If Microsoft stopped being in business tomorrow, don't expect updates, don't expect anything. Would I have liked them to have published all the hex files? Yeah, for real. Okay? But why? It's very complicated. And what I've heard is right. If your government knocks on your door and says, we don't like what you're doing, we think it could be classed as terror related, we think it could be classed as supporting war and countries who there are direct foreign sanctions against, as far as we're concerned, you have broke or you are in breach of about 38 different laws. We're going to let you make all of this go away and get on with your life. But if you don't, here is a lovely padded room with bars on the doors. And don't ever expect to see your family again. Is the kind of situation that this is. Holland, I think it was. Was it Holland or were they Holland? Norway, sorry, Norway, yes. As I said, it's a complicated situation. I don't think it's fair to even put blame on the developers from what we understand. Escape32 seems to take care of a lot of BLHeli32. Yeah, I have been looking at Escape32 a little bit. I've not tried it. I've been following the Discord. I've been following the page. For those who don't know, there is something called Escape32. I think some of the people somewhat involved of it will make it challenging to get it adopted widely and accepted in some quarters. Dominic is involved, for those who don't know. Clifton. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing, but you still need ST-Link. I think it's very interesting. I don't see any critical mass coming around this. What I've been watching it really closely. It's gold member from Holland. I've been watching it. I'm not seeing any critical mass here of brands hopping on board, lots of new targets appearing. I've been keeping an eye on the dev work. It could be incredibly interesting. I'm not saying it isn't. But there needs to be some sort of big push forward with these all to start getting support. It's not really even for me about replacing BLHeli32 on existing ESCs. It's now about seeing brands and people really get on board with it. Why don't they just open source the code and go bankrupt instead? I think you've got to be careful. Well, first of all, it was his proprietary code. Perhaps he will want that code in the future. Perhaps that code is also used in other products and other stuff elsewhere, nothing to do with FPV. You're only going to talk about ESC. I've been talking about a lot of other stuff before we got to ESCs. I'll be talking about other stuff in a couple of moments. We're seeing a lot of updates, but you're not... Look, contribute... Look, there's 3 commits in July. It's not really seeing a big push yet. I am more than happy, though, for Escape32. I think it depends what country you are in, Drone Psych or Siege, and what that company deems. You got to take into account AM32 is based. Where's the AM32 devs? Are they in the US? And it's not widely used. You got to take into account, if you look at BLHeli32's profits in the last 2 years, there is an unmistakable correlation of the profits doubling in line with a certain thing that happened over in the eastern side of the world, or Canada, and AM32 is tiny in comparison. That isn't to say there won't be more noise on other ones in the future. You just don't know. You've also, though, got to take into account it was hard to deny that product was not being used in, say, war, when you look at the sales increase at a very specific period of time. The profits are actually publicly available to see. One of the guys shared these charts on my Discord and paints an interesting story, put it that way. But it's complicated. It's complicated the country he's in. It's complicated on many, many, many levels. Right. Moving on very quickly to the next subject. And I'm not going to spend long on this. For those who have seen this week, let me move. This week saw the release of the Green Boxer. For those who haven't seen, I have the green one. Very nice radio. Very good indeed. For those who are interested, this week, the review will be coming out on this one, which is the T15. I really like this radio, I have to say, and I've said it on the stream already. I really like this radio. What is clear right now is flavour of the month is coloured radios. And brands wanting to make their radio stand out. I do like the purple. I have to say, I really do like the purple. Can you put regular Boxer internals in the new green shell? Yes, if they sold them. Both very good radios, both a little bit different. But yeah, that's a good radio. Jumper have done a fantastic job. The Boxer, though, is solid. You know, you can't knock it. What is really good about this Boxer deal, though, and as people said, is the CNC gimbals included for the price. $189 is a crazy value for that Boxer. That is the best value, period. What is a bit of a shame on both of these radios is they're not really for fixed wing guys. Where these radios fall over is for the fixed wing guys. I will be talking about a radio in a couple of weeks for that. Yes, it's FR Sky. I know some people don't like the brand. But FR Sky, no, it doesn't have Bluetooth. But the one thing I think both Jumper and Radio Master are missing with these radios is some sliders and stuff for the fixed wing community. Yes, Boxer with AG01's $189. It's a great deal. An absolutely fantastic deal. The community doesn't like FR Sky. I actually quite like their radios. I'm not sure what you do for an AG02. Could be getting rid of stock. Yeah, could be. Yeah, that's the only downside is these guys are just not really including, hey, Johnny 5, fixed wing centric features. That's the problem. Yeah, that Captain Bright, I've got a dedicated section on that in the video. And I used the test version of Edge TX that does the automatic setup of the outputs for you as well. And I actually show that in the video. It's very good. Something that people may not realize, the big difference on the Boxer to this is, so on the Boxer, these buttons are one channel. On this radio, these buttons are mapped to the MCU, so you can program them any way you want. So you can program all 6 as one channel with different PWM positions. You can program 3 2-position switches, 2 3-position switches. What is cool, though, is in the stock firmware today, You got to set all of that up. In the new version of Edge TX, you simply set the grouping option you want, and it will create a grouping output for you. And it will then just go, oh, you've set it to 3 2-position switches. You've got group 1, 2, and 3. And then you map group 1, 2, or 3 to the output instead of mapping the button to the output. And it automatically creates the groupings for you. And that is really cool. Really cool. You can set the switches manually if you want to, but the grouping gets created and it just does it. And it's really, really good. This will also run the Lua scripts very nicely on that color screen as well. Hardware limitation on the Boxer. Unfortunately. It basically acts as like a pot, yeah. And it has 3-position switches on the outside. And Jumper added backpack support and Express ELRS. Yes, I know the Express ELRS team forced them, but... And it's a TXCO oscillator. And it's 1 watt of RF output. It's a fine radio. That is the term I'm going to use. The T15 is a fine radio. So is the Boxer. But I'll be honest, I now feel as a standard radio, the T15 is better. It is a bit dearer. Don't forget that. It is a more expensive radio. But the T15, the color screen is really good. The touch screen, it's good. It's good enough outside as well. It's better because it has a color screen. It has 3-position switches on the outside instead of 2s. It has the fully mappable center button. That's what makes it a better radio. Can you run Mavlink plus RC on it? I don't know. And it's got a folding antenna. Although the handle on the back is utter shite. I will say that. The plastic handle on the back is garbage. Not sure of the weight. I'd have to check. But the antenna is off angle. What do you mean it's off angle? The antenna can be horizontal. It can be vertical. Your choice. I do like the antenna. Yeah, I do wish they'd have... Yeah, it does feel similar. It's not a lot in it. A Skydozer FPV? A question. Can I get Boxer with R9? Not at the factory, but you can put a module in the back. Options on most reliable reasons for professional use. I'm not sure I would recommend either for pro use. We are still seeing the weirdness with the Boxer where it randomly won't boot up. There was another user on Reddit today with this. I really don't know why this is happening. I've not seen this on other radios, and I could be wrong in this. There is a quirk with the Boxer where it randomly won't power on. You press and hold the power button, and it just cycles back and forth, back and forth. I think I released a video on it, actually, on how to fix it. I intended to if I didn't. Radio Master Boxer won't turn on. I intended to release a video on it, but I can't remember if I ever did. Did I actually make that video? I can't see it. And what you've got to do is remove the internal battery and then put the internal battery back in. I think I intended to make it and never did. That must be what happened. The only way to fix it is remove the internal battery and put it back on. The radio refuses to turn on. You press and hold the power button. The lights on the power button come on. The lights on the bottom cycle back and forth. But when you leave go, it all stops and it won't power up. I can actually show you it on Reddit because I helped a user with this issue on Reddit literally today. So here's the issue here. So you press and hold it like this, but it just won't power on. It just does that. So to show you again, you do that, you press and hold, and it just won't kick in. I don't really know the cause of this. We don't really know if it's hardware. We don't really know if it's software. I have experienced this myself. It's not that it has no battery. It is that the radio has crashed and you have to remove the internal battery, the C-cell battery, to allow it to power on. That's what the cause of this is. And we don't know. It's a random one. There are a number of people who have had this. I've only seen it on the Boxer as well. It's a weird one. It's a really weird one. Yeah, resets the prom. Yeah, she just needs to just take the clock out, put the clock back in. SD. Yeah, SD can be an issue, but this one is very specific. And it's very weird. Very weird. So, those radios are out there. The T15 is a fine radio. Jumper have said to me, and when I say they've said to me, they posted it on Instagram. They actually took a bit of my live stream last week and shared it on Instagram and have said they have CNC gimbals coming. So, coming soon. CNC gimbals for the T15 as well. I don't know when. They shared it. They shared it. But they shared it on Instagram. Which I thought was quite cool. They didn't tell me. So we're going to have to wait and see. Okay. Now, before we move on, I just want to say a big thank you for the super chat we received. We've actually had 2 for the biscuits from Aeroscare. Thank you for the £5. And 20 DKK, Don't Tweaks app in CE regions. No longer needed, as I said earlier, my friend. If they made them colour CNC gimbals, that would be cool. Mad's leaving us to watch Beavis and Butthead. Lol, people dunk on Free Sky then recommend Jumper. No, I quite like Free Sky. You know, the Free Sky radios are very nice. I have their new radio here to take a look at, and it is very nice. I have a question. Will the DJI 4 be compatible with the goggles too? Is there image quality loss over goggles today? We have no idea. It doesn't exist today. I cannot predict what doesn't exist. O4E unit does not exist today. I'm telling you now, it does not exist. Will I ever do any videos about the Inspire 2? Probably not again. I haven't flown mine for over a year. My TB50s are not going to be in good state at all. Probably the last video I'll make on the Inspire 2 is me selling it. I don't even want to sell it though. It's not worth even selling. I need to power it up though. I might do a video on getting it out. I thought I had a crystal ball. No, I don't. I love the Inspire 2. Someone just said I was catching up. You say the Vista doesn't pass FCC. There is no FCC certification for the Caddx Vista the DJI Unit Lite or Runcam Link. That is why you have never seen DJI sell it. As for why do Caddx and others sell it, read into that as you will. I'll also say this. Remember, the Avatar HD system didn't have FCC certification either. I'd even question how 100% correct its CE certification is today. I've not seen any CE certification for it. What prevents DJI from selling it? DJI being the largest drone company in the world is what prevents them from selling it. And DJI is a very big company that have to behave in a legitimate manner. Half of the VTXs that are sold from China are no one cares about. Oh, talking about a VTX from China. DJI, as much as people think DJI at times are the big bad guys, DJI always do everything by the book. Every one of their products is fully certified for every country it's sold in. On Caddx in the same country, yeah, but DJI is the world's largest drone company. It's a bit like saying, why does Apple have to sell their phones that are fully certified, but some small startup down the road who starts making a phone doesn't bother? It's a game of scale. DJI are on a biblically other level. You know, DJI at one point, just to give you a clue, had over 10,000 members of staff. You know, they have to be seen to do things properly. Was the original Air unit? Yes, the original Air unit was FCC certified. I don't know what Caddx thinks. All I can tell you is there is no FCC certification on the DJI Air Unit Lite Caddx Vista Runcam Link. Go look on the box. Go look on the Air Unit. Try and find an FCC number. There isn't one. There's not even one on the box. What you actually have on the box is just an FCC logo. And a CE logo. Chinese export logo, most likely. No, it'll be EMC. Because it's uncased. Even the heat sinks won't be enough. My belief is it'll be EMC. The bit I've always been a little surprised about is why DJI just didn't ship it in a metal box and allow you to use it, take it out of the metal box. That's the bit I was always a bit confused about. I get the impression they just don't care. They just built it and went, we can't really do this. And that's it. There is not a single FCC number on the box or anything. Holy smokes, 10K. Yeah, DJI have a lot of staff. I was told they had over 6,000 engineers. The comments are not auto-rolling. Oh, that's weird. Is it broke? It should work. Oh, yeah, the comments are broke. Chat Labs has failed me. That's interesting. It looks like it has broken. That's weird. How do I intend to mount the carbon fiber sheet on the CNC? There's already clamps for it, so it'll be fine. It's got its clamps on it, so I'll just clamp it down. It's rolling on your phone, but not your TV. That's weird. Is it rolling now? Let's have a look. Oh, it's waking up. Ish. Yeah, I think that's the cursor secure here. There's for sure. Overbuffered. Often seems a bit laggy. I just mentioned DJI and I've been hacked. That's what's happened. Just a couple of other things. So, DJI, you may have seen a load of people running out and saying things a couple of weeks ago. It's all fine. DJI have been removed from the Congress document. They're not going to be banned. You don't have to worry. Well, what happened this week? They were added back in again. There's a reason I didn't shout and scream that DJI hadn't been taken out, because the reality is this game is not over. The ban is not over. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. However, the game is still afoot. DJI, though, are definitely working on a lot of new products. There was another leak on another one this week, for those who haven't seen, out of China. Let me just go on to X. This was sent to me, or Slav also posted this. There's a video of multiple new DJI products. This one is... Oh, I don't want the music. This one is quite interesting. So if you look at this one, so this is something weird. We don't know what this is. It looks cheap, whatever this is. This is clearly something DJI based. Look at the drone itself there. What is that thing? It certainly looks cheap. That's for sure. Look at that. It's almost like a DJI Spark. It clearly uses the original DJI remote. Yeah, it looks like a bigger Tello. Very weird. This clearly looks like the new A4 or the A3S. And my God, has this thing got a big camera on it. The camera is freaking enormous, right? These aren't the best images to show it. There were others. This is an image of the new A3, either the new A3S. No, this isn't the Mavic 4. The Mavic 4 we've already seen. The Mavic 4 is got upward-facing cameras and and that has a triple camera lens. This only has the dual camera lens. There is a difference here. DJI testing out and about won't really be prototype. That'll be close to final. This isn't the same body as the other one, but look at the size of the gap here above the camera. There is an enormous... See, this is the Mavic 4. So this is the triple camera, massive camera assembly on the Mavic 4. Huge, different setup as well. You can actually see this is different to what you see on the other drone. There's another video and it's not the same. So this is the Mavic 4. You've got upward-facing sensors. Massive camera on the front. Enormous. Goes into this massive hole here. Huge hole. Downward-facing sensors, TOF sensors, removable rear panel, probably for the 5G module. Massive battery bay. Enormous battery bay at the back. Loads of cooling. Object sensors on the top as well. I've already translated all of these. So this looks like to be the Mavic 4. So this someone crashed it. But yeah, there's another video with the A3S on, and there's a full video of this actually. But you see, it's a different gimbal setup. It's not the same. I don't know where the video is for this. It's a lot bigger than that. If I search for A3S, someone shared the full video on. There you go, there. You can see it there as well. There's another look at that there. Definitely big. Oh, is this another video of it? This is one I haven't seen. Let me mute it. It looks like it. Yeah, this looks like another video of it. Look at the size of the hole. And look how low the camera is. There is a huge gap above the camera. Look at it. Look, the camera stops there. Look at this app. What are they doing there? It is enormous. I've never seen it like that before. But this is different to the 4. So wind much cast out. Yeah, you can really see the camera sits down. It's a prototype. Yeah, but DJI don't change their hardware much. DJI, when they're at this stage, they don't mess around too much. When DJI are at the stage of this is pretty much there. Could be so it looks up further. They could tighten it all up in a release version. That's for sure. It's just interesting how it looks. Very different to what we've seen from them before. I do wonder if the gimbal even clips up and in for storage. It does somewhat make sense. Yeah, it could be just to get it up in more for up shots. Definitely looks interesting. There aren't 3 OA sensors. No, not. There's 3 sensors on the Mavic 3. Interestingly, 4, sorry. It looks like 3 sensors on the top of the 4. There's none on the ELRS. There's no sensors on the top at all from what we've seen on the images so far. Things can change. They generally don't that much. I would expect them to look very similar to this. Very similar. DJI are always... The one thing I've always said this, we were talking about this on the my Discord the other day. DJI are very early with their hardware. Their hardware, they do iterations, but they don't change too much. Once they sort of go down the road of a design, unless they find something fundamentally bad, that tends to be it. You know, I have a friend who has one of the original Inspire 2 releases. And the funny thing about the original Inspire 2 is it had upward-facing object avoidance sensors, but DJI removed them for the final production. They're actually on it, but they just removed them on the final one. So DJI do make tweaks, but they don't, you know, the overall design of the drone was exactly the same. Yeah, it's they have a lot in flight. And what I mean by that is I am aware of about 5 or 6 products. We just don't know how far. These ones are a little bit further out. What you will see next will be the Nemo Avata Mini. That is coming next. You'll get a set of goggles with that as well, but that's going to be budget. If you want bets, I'm going to say a box goggle with an LCD display even. That's going to be the Avata 2 Mini, or what is known as the Neo. They've got a robot vacuum coming, which won't be that exciting. And then they've got all of the other stuff behind it. Then you're going to have the Mavic 4, the Air 3S, or the Air 4, whatever they intend to call this. There's that other thing, which looks like a Spark. Yeah, they got a robot vacuum coming. DJI's foray into more consumer goods. So alongside the bike, you're going to have a robot vacuum as well. FPV robot back that will map your house in great detail. Are these legit leaks? Yes. A robot vacuum that will have lots of sensors and cameras to intimately map your inside of your house. So now they use the drones to map the outside of your house, and now they use the robot vac to map the inside of your house. So I'm not saying they're spying on us at all, but they make drones that will map all of the outside areas, and now they're going to sell you a vacuum to map the inside areas, and now they've produced an e-bike to map the areas that are outside that the drones can't see because there are too many trees and the drones can't fly. So they now have 3 products that basically have the ability to map all spaces. You're only crazy if they're not actually watching you. Just remember that. And they're adding, and they make sensors for electric EVs and cars now as well. I don't know if it'll have a camera. We've not seen it. I will put money the robot vacuum has. It probably has time of flight sensors. I bet you they use object avoidance cameras. They probably use time of flight sensors, but I wouldn't be shocked to see object avoidance cameras on there. I'm not saying they're spying remotely. I'm just saying they happen to make things that are really good for capturing data outside, really good for capturing data inside, and really good for capturing data where you can't use the devices that capture data outside. That's all I'm saying. It's down to you to make a decision if any of this is dodgy or not. NACO file for the robot vac. Yes, there will be an FCC mod for it. Allows it to go upstairs. I don't see them using LiDAR. I bet you they use time of flight. I bet they use time of flight. Smart car is a massive target. Oh, yeah, and DJI getting into that world as well. Just like Google, just like everyone else. I'm less worried about DJI coming after me anyway with data collection because the Boston Dynamics Roblox would have slaughtered me to death long before that happens. Okay, very quickly before we wrap this video up. I got sent this week from GepRC. Yes, GepRC have sent me something. That's unusual. No, the sensors on the top of the drones are generally a mixture of cameras and time-of-flight sensors. They use both, DJI do. So they use optical cameras and time-of-sight. GepRC have sent me a 2.5-watt VTX to have a look at. Now, I won't be flying this in the real world, but we will do a bench test and a spectrum analysis look at it as well. But yeah, 2.5-watt VTX. Oh, I will fly it, but at 25 milliwatts only. Okay. Yes. Very interesting indeed. 2.5 watts of power. You've seen a lot of power in analog VTXs. I wonder why. I wonder why we could be seeing analog VTX manufacturers making like 2, 3, 4, and 5 watt VTXs. Why would like a digital manufacturer make a 2-watt VTX? I can't think why that would be necessary. Right. One last thing before I pull the plug on this stream. Caddx have sent me shipping notification. They are sending me a set of the Goggles L to review. A set of... sorry, not a set. A set of the Goggles L. A pair of the Goggles L, whichever we want to call them. The GT VTX and the GT3 gimbal to review. So I didn't ask for them. They've said they're going to send them, so they're coming over. There will be a review of the goggles coming. I'm going to be honest, I ain't going to be making a 1-hour-long review after the fact like I would on a release product, but I will give you a good overview on my thoughts on the new goggles. I'm going to test them for a bit. I'm not going to rush the video. The video will probably take 3 or 4 weeks. Whereas I would usually rush a video out, you know, spend loads of time getting everything done for the release date. That's not going to happen now. So what I will do is do it over a period of time, but there will be a review on them coming when I get that. Same as on the GT. There's some interesting stuff to look at on the GT, as well as the gimbal. We will be taking the gimbal for a ride on my new truck. I bought a truck for doing some content on the channel. Have I shown the truck? Does anyone know if I've shown the truck on the stream? Not that I'm sure I did, but I've bought a 1/10 for doing the gimbal, 4x4, rock crawler, good for VTX testing. Let's go. There will be an unboxing and a video on this coming as well. Yeah, I do want to put the cameras inside. Weird quad. It is. It's a good truck. Yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to decide what to go with, and I went for the TRX. But this is the Outback Tracker as well. But there is a video finished on this. I just, well, it's not finished. I just need to do a couple more things. I bought that as a gift to myself. Race it with Bot Grinder. Yeah, what was Bot on about? He put out a video that no one watched or something, and he apologised about it. I missed that. Anyway, we're going to end this one there. Thank you for spending time with me tonight. In the description is links to my Patreon as well as buy me a coffee. In the description is also links to my Discord server. Thank you for spending some time with me tonight. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. We'll be back again, same time, same place next week. Trying to find the button. There's some good content coming this week. Make sure you watch it. Stay safe. I'll speak to you soon.